Okay, so for today's bell work, we have Mackenzie wants to buy a backpack that costs $50. If the tax rate is 6.5%, how much tax will she pay? We know that it costs $50. We want to find 6.5% of 50. And there was two methods we went over yesterday. We can change that 6.5% to a decimal by moving the decimal place 2 to the left or writing it as a fraction. I think most of you chose that you like writing it as a fraction, so I'm going to solve it this way. What percent do I have?
6.5.
6.5, and percents are always out of what number? 100. We're going to multiply by another number. We have 50, and how would we write that as a fraction? Over 1. Go ahead and multiply your numerators. Okay, 6.5 times 50 gives us 325. 100 times 1 gives us 100. Now we have to simplify this. Remember, our fraction bar means that we are dividing. So we have 325 divided by 100. And what do we get for our answer?
$3.25.
$3.25. Is this a reasonable answer for our tax?
Yes.
Yes. If we're buying something that costs $50, our tax isn't going to be $32.50 or $325. It's only 6.5%. That's a small percentage, so $3.25 makes sense. For today's lesson, we're going over percent estimation and the percent proportion. Your target for today is students will be able to estimate the percent of a number and use the percent proportion to solve for the missing value. So you're either finding the percent, the part, or the whole. For our notes for today, sometimes an exact answer is not needed when using percents. When asked to estimate, you can round. Yes, you can round your values mentioned in the problem. So for estimating, you're going to round your answer so you can make an educated guess. Also, we're going over the percent proportion. For our percent proportion, we have it set up as part over whole equals percent over 100. Remember, percents are always out of 100, so this side of your proportion always is going to have your percent in your numerator and your 100 in the denominator. If you don't have a percent, that means we're solving for the percent. Our part is usually with the word is, and our whole is usually with the word of. So you can let reading the problem help you put the values into your percent proportion. Okay, if we go over our first example, it says what percent of $15 is $9? Just for a reference, I'm going to write our proportion at the top of my slide. Look at our question. Do we see a percent sign?
Yeah.
In our question?
No.
No. So what are we solving for?
The percent.
The percent. We don't know what the percent is. So when I write my two fractions, I'm writing my second fraction as my percent over 100. Do we know this value in the numerator? No, so you can fill it in with a variable. And then we know to fill in our other fraction, it's going to be is over of. What number goes with is? 9. And what number goes with of? 15. So we know that 9/15 is equal to x over 100, and we're going to solve the proportion. When we solve the proportion, what do we have to do?
Multiply across and divide.
Yeah, we multiply the two numbers we know how to multiply. 9 times 100 is 900, and then we do what with our leftover number? Divide. So we're dividing by 15.
Equals 60.
60. So we know that 9 is 60% of 15. Okay, for our next example, we have what number is 5% of 60? I'm going to set up my two fractions. My second fraction I always keep as my percent, and we know percents are always out of 100. Do we see a percent sign in our question? What percent do we have? 5, so that goes in our numerator. We have 5 over 100. When you look for our second or our first fraction, do we have our is or our of? Of, we have of 60. So of is our whole, which means it goes in the denominator. And we're searching for our part. What can we put in the numerator if we don't know what value it is? Okay, so choose a variable. X. Go ahead and cross multiply the two numbers you know how to multiply. 60 times 5 gives us 300, and we do what with our leftover number? Divide by 100. 300 divided by 100 gives us 3. So we know that 3 is 5% of 60. Okay, and for our third example, we have that 18 is 25% of what number? So when I set up my two fractions, my second fraction always has what in the denominator? 100. Do we have a percent given to us?
Yes.
Yes, what percent do we have?
25.
So we're going to write 25 over 100. Is 18 our part or our whole? Does it go in the numerator or the denominator? Numerator, it's is over of, 18 is with is. Do we know of what number?
No.
So what do we fill in there? X. And now we have a proportion that we can solve. If we cross multiply the two numbers we know how to multiply, 18 times 100 gives us 1,800, and we have to divide that by our leftover number, which was 25. And what did you guys come up with for the answer?
Wait, what?
Okay, I'm going to have you try the next 3 questions on your own. Make sure you're setting up your proportion. You know that percents are always out of 100, and we're using is over of equals percent over 100.